Terrell Thomas, These Urban Times, and on this edition of Sideline Stories, a lot is taking place in the NBA with the NBA trade deadline coming to an end on Thursday. So we have a lot of great things to talk about. And as you can see, I'm joined by our new co-host who will be doing wonderful things in the world of sports, not only today, but in the future to come here on These Urban Times and on many other platforms. You'll see this young lady's face and get to hear a lot of her great sports insight. And we'll also get some entertainment insight from her on some occasions as well. Miss Shayla Vaxter, how are you today?
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Oh no, thank you for being here. It's been a long time coming, something long in the making. So it's great to actually sit down and talk some basketball and talk some great hoops with you today. A lot of great things have taken place over the last 24 hours, I'll say, in the NBA. We heard a lot of speculations about a big blockbuster trade that may take place in the tri-state area with the Brooklyn Nets and the Philadelphia 76ers. And for many Sixer fans and possibly for many Brooklyn fans who are looking for a new start, that dream is now a reality. As on Thursday afternoon, Daryl Morey and the Philadelphia 76ers decided to send Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and future draft picks to the Brooklyn Nets for James Harden and Paul Millsap. So when we first got this news, what were your thoughts on this trade and the possible impact it could have on the Eastern Conference and the NBA?
Wow, to be honest, I was completely shocked. I stayed by my phone. Trade deadline gives me a lot of anxiety, but I think it's a pretty good trade. I think that there were two players that were unhappy with their situations, and so now they're kind of trading places. Of course, Ben Simmons was in a very toxic or created a very toxic environment where it couldn't be reconciled between him and the 76ers and the team. So I know he's absolutely thrilled to go to Brooklyn. And James Harden not being completely happy with the Nets and all that was promised with Kyrie and KD. They were supposed to be the big three. It just wasn't happening. And so now we're going to see what's to come.
So when the news first broke, and we found out about the big move that took place, did you feel like one of these teams had a competitive advantage? Who do you feel like, rather, I guess I should phrase it this way, is the front runner now in the Eastern Conference to possibly capture NBA's final championship? Does James Harden put Philadelphia in better position, or Ben Simmons when he gets on the court? And we still don't know when that will be yet. Do you feel like he really makes the Brooklyn Nets a serious contender?
I think the Nets won in this trade, although I do have some concerns about the personalities meshing and Kyrie being a part-time player. But if they can get all three on the court, I think that the Nets would be a perfect contender for the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm not really sure what James Harden is going to do.
I'm
And
hoping that when James Harden and Embiid really do form a chemistry, that possibly we could see the second coming of a Kobe and Shaq type combo, with James
yeah,
Harden being such a threat on the perimeter, and then
yeah.
with Embiid being such an impact player in the paint. But as you mentioned about chemistry, I do understand that you have some concerns with the Brooklyn Nets and how things will look moving forward. Could you elaborate on that for me?
Definitely. Well, one thing when trade rumors were swirling around about Ben Simmons coming to the Hawks, I have some concerns about Ben Simmons and his antics. So if he decides that he's unhappy with the team, how is he going to resolve his issues? And he's getting on a team with Kevin Durant and Kyrie, and they are both very vocal and forward about their own personal needs and wants. So I'm wondering how all three of them can come together for the greater good of the team.
Now, unfortunately, we only saw the Nets' big three when it was Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden together. They only played 16 games together. So
Which is crazy.
in 2 seasons, we got roughly 2 weeks of basketball from this trio on which we thought or many thought, I'll say, we're going to capture multiple championships here on out. So we still don't know yet when James Harden will make his debut with the Sixers. Again, we don't know when Ben Simmons will make his debut in Brooklyn. But I do know that Ben Simmons has reached out to Kevin Durant. He spoke with several members already of the Brooklyn Nets, their front office. So Simmons may thrive in the Brooklyn area, but
Yeah.
we'll have to wait and see. Kind of
And
putting
he
you on the
got
spot.
vaccinated.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's the big thing in New York. So I thought he might get traded prior to the trade deadline with the vaccine, his vaccination status being up in the air. But here we are.
Yeah, with Kyrie being a part-time player, that really does, I mean, say a lot about the team and what they'll be able to do with that restriction. So it's difficult, honestly.
We also actually had some breaking news take place on Friday, right as on Thursday, right as the trade deadline was ending, with Kristaps Porzingis, formerly of the Dallas Mavericks, being traded to the Washington Wizards for Spencer Dinwiddie. So I just want to ask you quickly, what are your thoughts on Porzingis returning to the East? Do you think he can be a catalyst and return to all-star form with the Washington Wizards?
You know what? That trade surprised me as well. And I'm not sure. I guess we'll have to, obviously, these organizations see something in these players that they need added, and they think it would add that he would add value to the team. But honestly, that was a very strange trade to me.
And then finally, the Los Angeles Lakers didn't make any big moves.
Yes, I was seeing Cam Reddish's name in it.
So
And you
were
know
you?
what? The Cam Reddish trade had me sick with the Hawks. I didn't realize that he wasn't happy in Atlanta, but it makes sense. You know, he comes from Duke. He's used to being the guy and being in the spotlight. And obviously the Hawks are stacked, and he couldn't really display his talent the way he wanted to coming off the bench and it being really competitive. So New York wanted him bad. They were excited. Knicks fans were going hard on Twitter. They wanted Cam bad. I mean, I've never even seen a rollout like that for a player. They were so excited to have him at the Garden. But I saw his name in the trade as far as going to the Lakers, but it didn't happen. I definitely thought they were going to move Westbrook.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to ask you. How surprised are that Westbrook is still a member of the Lakers, and do you see them getting their season together, making a turnaround after the All-Star break?
Yeah, I definitely don't. It's really a shame that LeBron has to, hold this team on his back at 37. But Westbrook, it's just been very frustrating for him. And I know they have spaces on Twitter about, how he's not making any of his shots and he's not doing anything that he was supposed to do, living up to his promise. I don't think he should be a Laker. He needs to be moved. I think LeBron will move him. I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet.
I am as well. I'm very surprised as well.
And it's very strange that he hasn't made any adjustments.
What adjustments would you like to see him make out there on the court?
I want to see him off. He needs to go to another team. It's not working. It's not. And you know what? It's just being said that he's just being the player that he normally is. So nothing is really different about him. I thought that when players come to the Lakers that they kind of, get together with LeBron and up their game or revitalize their skills, or it just doesn't seem to be connecting. And I'm surprised nothing has happened suddenly by now that LeBron is even having that, but something else must be in store that we don't know about, because there's no way.
You did just throw the Atlanta Hawks out there, so I have to kind of elaborate on that briefly. They did make a big move in trading Cam not too long ago, but no other big moves during this trade period, and we heard their names involved with a lot of rumors, a lot of different pieces, maybe bringing Derek White over. They were engaged with the Sixers for some time with a possible Ben Simmons move. Are you glad? What are your thoughts on the Hawks not making any moves? Are you glad that they have not, or did you feel like they needed to kind of press the button before the trade deadline expired?
You know what? I was very nervous about John Collins. I kept hearing his name in the trade. Honestly, I didn't see any great options that could add or subtract. I know that Travis was saying that something needed to be done. Maybe he shouldn't have brought everybody back. Why do we have the same team? And, we are not doing well. We're 10th in the conference. I'm glad that no moves were made because I just didn't see it. And I definitely did not want to see John Collins be thrown into the trade. I think he adds something very special to Atlanta and he actually wants to be here. I mean, he said it in a press conference, like, I don't know how many times I need to say that I'm happy in Atlanta. I want to be here. And I think he's willing to work with the team. And honestly, Atlanta fans are just they are definitely fair weather, but when it comes to the Hawks, I think that we need to stay as we are and kind of figure it out. I didn't see anything that would have added value to our trade or added value to our team as far as the trade. So yeah, I want to see those pieces around Trae Young. Of course, he had a terrible shooting night, and now he's back in rhythm. And I don't know. I think that what the Hawks have now, they'll be able to work with. They seem to be doing better. Actually, they've been winning more games since trading Cam, and made me think that maybe he was the locker room cancer. Or sometimes, when a player feels unhappy with the organization and just throws off the team chemistry, in order to win, everybody has to be in.
Well said. Very well said. Once again, Terrell Thomas, These Urban Times, Sideline Stories. We're pleased to have our new co-host joining us for several sports segments that'll be coming up moving forward. Please let our audience know how they can follow you via social media so they can get in tune with all the great things that you have going on in the world of sports and outside the world of sports.
Yes, you can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at Sports by Shayla. And yeah, catch me there. I'm always online.
Stay tuned. We'll be bringing you a lot more here. Once again, we're honored, and it's a pleasure to have this young lady on our team. They say having a woman on your team makes everything better. So
That's right.
We're looking forward to the future. Stay tuned. Make sure you follow this young lady and follow These Urban Times as well.